I woke with a start from a thunderous bang that rang through the air. I wasn't sure if I was dreaming a nightmare or if the sounds of reality kick-started me into the day. Either way, I was awake, confused, but awake. I found myself to be in a field close to home. The sun was shining, the air was already warm with the comforts of a summer day. My head was pounding with a hangover from hell. How much did I drink last night, I thought to myself. The events of the night were hazy, to say the least. I remember going out to the bar, but not too much more after that, like how I ended up laying with the trees. Must have just sat down and passed out. It took a short time for me to shake off the groggy feelings of a bad sleep and the inevitable dehydration that follows a night of binge drinking. With my back to a tree, I simply sat and watched the day while puffing away on a cigarette. Despite everything, it felt like it was going to be a good day. Not too long, I started on my way home. It was only about 10 in the morning, so at least I still had the day ahead of me. I figured get home, a bite to eat, a shower, and then get ready and on with the day. The town was already alive and full of life for the day. A small place, but I liked it. One of those towns where you knew everyone and everyone seemed to be happy. As I made my way down the road, checking my cell phone for clues of the previous night's events, I managed to run head on into someone. I fumbled, nearly dropping my phone, and said sorry to the guy, but he gave no mind, not even a grunt. Must have been in a rush to get somewhere. 20 or so later, I was walking through the front door of my house. As I entered, I could hear the sounds of the TV. Sarah must be up already. Yeah, she was going to be pissed at me, I thought. Out drinking with the guys all night and didn't come home. I was sure that I was going to get both barrels when I turned the corner into the living room, but it didn't happen. I turned to see her asleep on the couch, an empty bottle of wine on the coffee table, and the remote on the floor. Guess she had a good night as well. I covered her with a blanket, figured she would probably be asleep for a while longer. It wasn't often that she drank, but when she did, the next day was usually a write-off for her. Quick shower and a bite to eat later, and I was ready to continue on with my day. Bit of running around to get done before Monday came around again. Then a relaxing evening on the couch with Sarah. Didn't sound too bad at all. With my headphones in, with music roaring in my head, I made my way back into the town center. Everyone seemed so distant. It was a bit strange. Normally walking down Main Street, every other person with a smile gave a nod or what have you, but not today. Ran into a general store for an energy drink. Scrolling through my phone at the counter, felt like I was waiting forever for someone to come ring through my purchase. I called out, but no one answered. Odd. Figured they were probably in the back and just couldn't hear me. So I pulled some of the receipt paper out, scribbled a note about the drink, and left a 5 on the counter. I knew the owners, so it was all good. Back into the street, the warm summer air, the view of the mountains. What a glorious day it was. I reached into my pocket and pulled out a small box. I'd been carrying it for a good 2 weeks now. Waiting for that perfect time. I opened it and admired the diamond ring inside of it. This was going to be the day I finally asked Sarah for her hand. I was ready. When I turned to start walking, I bumped into an older gentleman, dropping the box to the ground. "Sorry, sir," I said as I bent down to pick it up. He looked at me, but he seemed to look right past me, then went on his way without a word. Cranky old bastard, I chuckled to myself and then went on my way. Nothing was going to ruin this day for me. Not a cranky old man, not my long-running headache. Heck, I could have gotten smoked by a car and still kept a smile on my face. The florist was my next destination of the day, simple 2 blocks away. Took my time getting there, basking in the day and the music playing in my ears, eyeing the different things in shop windows. There was a figure in the collectibles shop window that I had my eye on for quite some time. But this was not the day for that. I continued on my way to find the florist shop closed for the day. Great. On to plan B and over to a local park. Parents and children out enjoying the day in the playground. People walking dogs and playing catch in the grass or simply sitting in the sun with a good book. It was a perfect day for all of it. I made my way over to a flower bed and found exactly what I needed. Not exactly how I want to go about it, but oh well. Last stop was the mall. Just needed a few things from there to make the night perfect, maybe grab a bite to eat as well. See if I could finally kill off this vicious hangover. I started across the street from the back and near got smoked by a car. The flowers flew from my hand. If I hadn't jumped back, I would have been flat on the pavement. The driver was long gone, and after a loud string of curses from me, I was back on my feet. I was sure that the entire park heard me. Mothers were probably upset about the language, but damn near I almost died, so I didn't care. I made it to the mall without any further incidents, at least. The place was busy as always. Seems like most of the town was here on days like today. I hated coming to this place. I've never been one for shopping, weaving in and out of people like mines on a field of war. Each time I bumped into someone, I said a quick sorry and kept on my way, never bothering to wait for a reply, if any. Alright, bite to eat, hit the chocolate store, and get out of the mall. So I went over to the food court. Wasn't really a fan of fast food, but my guts had the grumbles in them. I hit the first burger joint I seen. The place was packed, but not quite as busy as the other places nearby. I cruised over the menu for a moment, then tried for the counter while the staff was busy tending to customers and prepping orders. Yeah, can I just get a number one and a pop, please? My question went unheard through the busy commotion of the crowd. My smile was quickly turning into a scowl. Excuse me, can I make an order? Other people had butt in front of me to place their orders. I was getting pretty upset at this point, mad even. I was trying to keep my cool with this situation, but it was getting more and more difficult. I slammed my fist on the counter and yelled, "Hey!" A staff member turned with a smile. "Can I take your order?" Finally, I thought. Just as I opened my mouth, I heard someone else pipe up with, "An upsize number 3 to go, please." Are you fucking kidding me, I thought. Fuck it, I can just eat at home. I turned and walked away, slamming right into someone and falling right onto my rear. I stood back up to see a teenage kid standing there, looking through his phone with his headphones in. "Watch where you're going, kid." No response. I just had to shake my head and walk away before I started to run my mouth. My mission to the mall was almost over. Then I could leave the wretched place. The chocolate shop was close by. I went in, browsed the shelves, picked what I thought was best, made for the counter with a scowl, put the box down, and looked to see the smiling cashier. She stood there watching the people going about the mall, her mind seeming to be miles away. "Can you ring me up, please?" She didn't even turn to look at me. "Are you fucking kidding me?" I growled out. She stepped forward, finally, grabbed a bottle of water, then leaned her back against the wall, still ignoring me. I was pissed at this point. Why was everyone fucking with me? Looking around in anger, hoping that maybe I would see some camera crew and that I was on one of those prank shows or something. But everything was as it should be. Turning back to the smiling cashier, I gave a hearty "fuck you" and left without her even batting an eye. Just keeping that same sadistic smile on her face in her perfect little world. Forget it. I would just make do with what I had. Despite all this, I wasn't going to let anything ruin it for me. Leaving the mall, I kept my mind focused. Sarah. Tonight was going to be perfect. Holding the small box with my hand in my pocket, I started across the street. Again, almost getting hit. My fault this time. That flashing red hand stared me down. I sighed, waiting, then continued on my way when I should have. Everyone I passed still ignoring me, waiting for that TV host to jump out and say, "You just got pranked." The walk home felt like it took forever. I was glad when I finally made it there. Now I was able to escape from the world and back into my kingdom with my soon-to-be queen. I entered and called for Sarah. It was game time. Do or die. But found no response. After kicking off my shoes, I searched around, but found no signs of her. TV off, the blanket folded, shoes were gone, no note, no call, or text message. Damn, she was still pissed at me for the night before. Went to the bedroom to see her bags taken from the closet, along with a good bit of clothing. Fuck, she must have gone to her sister's or something. I really fucked up by not making it home. But at least I know I didn't do anything stupid. I tried calling her cell, but it just rang and rang. Frustrated with how the day went from perfect to garbage in a matter of hours, I pulled my boots back on and headed for the tavern. Alone for the night, unable to go through with my previous ideas. Fuck it, I said. A beer would be a fine closing to the day. I walked into the tavern a short time later, passed by the counter, and as per the norm for the regulars, I grabbed a filled jug with a mug and tossed my ID card in its place. Good system for some of the people that frequent the place. Took my normal seat in the corner, had a great view of all the TVs, kicked my feet up onto the opposing chair, and poured the first of many amber mugs. No one spoke to me, but I didn't care. The only thing on my mind at the time was Sarah and what I had planned. Sure, things didn't work out today, but tomorrow, the next day, the next, whenever, everything would be great. Some commotion at the serving bar caught my attention. Doug, the bartender, yelling at some guy about an ID card, asking if it was a joke and kicking him out. I just smirked and kept to myself. Wasn't long before I was making the round trip from my table to the can, to the bar for another waiting jug, and back to my table. I thought I heard someone speaking to me, but when I looked up, no one was there. Couldn't figure out what the fuck was up with people. It was like they just decided I didn't matter anymore, that they were just above me in some way. Another jug. As the mugs emptied, the frustration of the day quickly started turning into anger. I knew at this point it was time to go. The last thing I wanted was to end up in the drunk tank and not make it home again, pending Sarah came back tonight anyway. I went to the bar and looked for my ID but couldn't see it. Figured Doug put it aside for me. At the moment, he was busy dealing with a large line of patrons. I'd just grab it tomorrow. Pushed a guy out of my way while I headed for the door, telling him off as I went, but he didn't even look at me. I stopped and turned around and just screamed at him, calling him out, threatening him and other people once more before I just screamed, "Fuck," and stormed out. Drunk and angry, I had to walk some of this off, muttering to myself about the asshole people today as I walked down the street, kicking rocks out of frustration, quickly puffing on a cigarette after cigarette. Before I even clued into where I was, I looked up and seen where my day had all began. The field and the trees. "You lost?" A voice from the trees rang out. I looked around but seen no one else, thinking I would have seen other people. "Excuse me?" I asked to be met with a quick response. "You look lost, boy." In my drunken stupor, I was amazed that someone was actually talking to me. Did the hidden game show I was finally on come to an end? I gave a sigh of relief, told the guy I wasn't lost, just on my way home. But his next words were not at all what I was expecting. He told me to empty my pockets or I was going to get hurt. I was drunk. I still had the anger in the back of my mind. So near as I could tell, I was 10 feet tall and made of steel. So I promptly told him off. He emerged from the shadows, gun in hand, demanded my wallet again. My fist clenched as I spoke to him. My angered retort of "fuck off" was cut short by a loud bang and the thud of my lifeless body with its fresh hole in the skull hitting the ground. Those few moments laying on the ground, blood pouring out of the forced hole in my head, it all came back to me. I've been here before. It's the same every time. I've lost count of how many times I've gone through it now. I've tried to change the outcome, but it's always the same. Surely, I am in hell. I woke with a start from the thunderous bang that rang through the air. I wasn't sure if I was dreaming a nightmare or if the sounds of reality kickstarted me into the day. Either way, I was awake, confused, but awake.